It's happening faster than most people expected. Across the United States, familiar restaurant signs are disappearing from highways, main streets, and neighborhood shopping centers. These aren't just mom-and-pop diners or small-town cafes. In 2025, some of the biggest and most recognizable restaurant chains in the country are shutting down dozens, sometimes hundreds of locations. For years, you might have passed by these places without thinking twice, knowing they'd always be there when you wanted a quick burger, a plate of pancakes, or a sit-down family meal. But now, for many communities, those options are vanishing. The reasons behind this wave of closures are complex, but the impact is immediate and personal. It's not only about where you grab lunch or treat the kids after a soccer game, it's about the erosion of routines, the shrinking of affordable dining choices, and the gradual hollowing out of local gathering spots. The question many are starting to ask is, will my go-to restaurant be next? To understand why this is happening, you have to step back and look at the bigger picture. Over the past few years, nearly every cost associated with running a restaurant has climbed sharply. Food prices have risen due to supply chain disruptions, climate impacts on crops, and global inflationary pressures. Labor costs have surged as states and cities raise minimum wages and as restaurants struggle to attract and retain workers in a tight labor market. Rent and commercial property insurance have gone up, especially in urban and high-traffic areas. Even utilities, packaging materials, and delivery service fees are squeezing profit margins. At the same time, customers are feeling their own financial strain. Wages haven't kept up with inflation, and the cost of living from housing to groceries has climbed to record highs in many parts of the country. For families and retirees on fixed incomes, a 10, 15, or 20% increase in the price of a meal can be enough to make eating out feel like a luxury rather than a regular habit. Add in the lingering aftershocks of the pandemic when many people got used to cooking at home or relying on cheaper takeout options, and you have a perfect storm for the restaurant industry. The supply chain element can't be overlooked either. Even as the pandemic receded, restaurants continued to face spot shortages of certain ingredients and unpredictable delivery schedules. Meat and dairy prices have been especially volatile, and imported items, everything from spices to specialty cheeses, have become more expensive thanks to higher shipping costs and global logistics slowdowns. All of these factors push menu prices higher, but there's only so much the average diner will pay before they cut back or stop coming altogether. With that context in mind, let's look at the first wave of closures that's defining 2025. Jack in the Box, along with many of its Del Taco locations, recently announced one of the largest single shutdowns by a national chain in recent years. Up to 200 stores will close. The move comes after a more than 4% drop in sales, and it's part of a strategy to cut debt and stabilize finances. For loyal customers, especially in regions where Jack in the Box has long been a late-night favorite, this contraction is more than a business decision. It's a loss of convenience and routine. Applebee's is facing a different kind of hit. Earlier this year, one of its largest franchise operators filed for bankruptcy, triggering at least 8 closures across the Midwest. The company's overall sales are down nearly 4%, and history shows that when major franchise groups collapse, more closures often follow. For many smaller towns, Applebee's isn't just a place to eat. It's one of the few casual dining spots where families can linger over a meal without breaking the bank. Denny's, another mainstay in countless communities, confirmed it will shutter more than 70 restaurants in 2025. That's a major blow in rural areas and smaller cities, where Denny's often serves as a 24-hour anchor for retirees, shift workers, and travelers. Its reputation for reliability, no matter the hour, has made it a fixture in American dining culture. Losing it leaves a gap that isn't easily filled. Red Robin, known for its burgers and endless fries, is also scaling back in a big way with around 70 locations set to close. This is the most aggressive round of cutbacks the brand has ever made following years of quietly reducing its footprint. For a chain that once leaned heavily on the promise of a fun sit-down family meal, the closures mark a shift toward a leaner, more survival-oriented business model. TGI Fridays rounds out this first group, and its story is one of sharp decline. After filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy late last year, the chain has continued to close restaurants throughout 2025. It now operates about 85 locations nationwide, less than half of what it boasted not too long ago. Once a go-to for after-work drinks and casual celebrations, TGI Fridays is struggling to stay relevant as customers gravitate toward either cheaper fast food or more modern niche dining experiences. These closures aren't isolated incidents. They are symptoms of deeper industry-wide pressures that are reshaping how and where Americans eat out. And while some chains may eventually rebound for many communities, the losses are already real and the choices fewer. The wave of closures doesn't stop with the first 5 chains. As 2025 moves forward, more major brands are scaling back, each grappling with its own pressures, yet all facing the same reality: higher costs, fewer customers, and less room to absorb mistakes. On the Border, Mexican Grill and Cantina has taken one of the hardest hits. Filing for bankruptcy earlier this year, the chain shut down more than 70 restaurants, leaving only about 60 spread across 18 states. Inflation, rising wages, and dwindling foot traffic have eroded profitability, and its mid-sized market locations have been especially vulnerable. Lease cancellations are still in progress, so the brand's footprint could shrink even further before year's end. Hooters of America followed with its own Chapter 11 filing in early 2025. Dozens of company-run sites closed, and the business is now leaning more heavily on franchises. While the brand still attracts a core audience for sports nights, it's struggled to win over younger diners whose tastes and expectations are different from the customers Hooters built its name on. For some cities, losing Hooters removes a familiar casual hangout, while in others, the absence barely registers. Even McDonald's, a company often thought immune to downturns, saw quarterly sales drop 3.6%, its weakest result since 2020. For a giant built on consistency, even small declines are a signal. Higher prices are driving some customers to trade up to perceived better quality, while others are skipping fast food entirely in favor of cheaper home cooking. That subtle shift in value perception can have an outsized impact over time. Chipotle, after years of rapid growth, has reported its slowest quarter in 5 years. Steep ingredient costs and wage increases have pushed menu prices higher, but that's also slowed traffic. Even the brand's strong appeal to younger health-conscious diners hasn't been enough to keep visits steady when budgets are under pressure. Popeyes has seen sales fall about 4% this year, a sign that the buzz from its viral chicken sandwich moment has faded. While its core menu still has loyal fans, customers now weigh price and convenience more closely. And in a crowded fried chicken market, small differences can send them elsewhere. Burger King's retrenchment is less dramatic in headlines, but significant in impact. Underperforming stores are quietly being shut down, and in some regions, whole clusters have vanished. For smaller towns, that means losing a rare, low-cost fast food option, shrinking choices even further. Beyond these 11, several other familiar names are making notable cuts. Starbucks is closing roughly 80 to 90 pickup or online-only stores as part of its Back to Starbucks push. In San Francisco alone, at least 6 locations have closed in the past 9 months, including one that served its neighborhood for nearly 20 years. The goal is to focus on the in-store coffeehouse experience rather than speed alone. Subway, for the first time in 2 decades, now has fewer than 20,000 U.S. stores after closing 631 locations in 2024. The smart growth plan behind this move is designed to weed out underperformers and refresh the brand with redesigned spaces and upgraded ingredients. Applebee's is experimenting with hybrid Applebee's plus IHOP locations, aiming to cover breakfast through dinner in a single footprint. While it expects a net loss of 20 to 35 Applebee's this year, the combined sites are already showing stronger revenue than standalones. Pizza Hut has shut about 8 dine-in restaurants in Ohio and Indiana due to franchisee troubles, continuing its shift toward delivery and takeout formats that match current dining habits. Together, these examples show that the pressures facing the 11 headline chains are part of a broader reshaping of American dining. Whether through bankruptcy, strategic retrenchment, or shifting formats, the result for customers is the same: fewer familiar options and a dining landscape that looks far leaner than it did just a few years ago. Here's the blunt truth behind the shakeout: business models matter. Fast food chains built for speed and volume can flex pricing and staffing faster than full-service brands, but even they struggle when value perception slips. Casual dining depends on longer table turns, larger footprints, and bigger labor teams. Those costs rise faster than the check size in a frugal year. Fast casual sits in between, strong on convenience and perceived quality, yet exposed when ingredient and wage inflation push prices past what customers see as fair. When value and price drift apart, demand recedes. Consider the split between fast food and casual dining. Drive-through heavy brands can survive with lean crews and compact kitchens, pivoting to app orders and limited time bundles that protect traffic. By contrast, sit-down chains carry host stands, servers, bussers, bartenders, dishwashers, and dining rooms to heat and maintain. When price-sensitive guests skip appetizers, share entrees, or cut dessert revenue per party falls, while labor and occupancy barely budge. That math explains why closures cluster in older high-rent boxes with long dining rooms and dated layouts. Scale compounds the difference. National brands enjoy purchasing power and marketing reach, but can't refit every tired store overnight. Regional players are nimbler. They know neighborhood tastes, can test shorter menus, and will shut a lagging site without headlines. Ownership structure matters too. Franchise systems spread risk, yet uneven operators and debt-heavy agreements make some territories brittle. Company-operated fleets move slower, but keep tighter control of standards. In 2025, each weakness is magnified by cost pressure and a consumer who is far more selective. Digital ordering reduces friction, but fees and tips can still deter thrifty diners in tight months too. For communities, the impact is more than an empty storefront. In small towns, a closing diner erases a 24-hour refuge for nurses, truckers, and students. Seniors lose a familiar, affordable routine. Teenagers lose a first job ladder. Price pressure shifts demand to the remaining spots, which raise prices again or lengthen waits. In food deserts, fewer quick-serve options mean longer drives for a hot meal. On main streets already battling vacancies, another dark window makes the block feel less safe and less social. What does that mean to you? Think like a value strategist. Use official apps for loyalty points, targeted coupons, and order-ahead pickup that sidesteps delivery markups. Hunt off-peak deals and day-part specials. Brunch or late afternoon often beats prime time. Share plates at casual spots or pair one premium entree with sides and water instead of soft drinks. Compare combo prices across chains before you leave home. Try regional brands and family-run diners that still price for regulars. When a favorite closes, map the nearest alternatives and build a new routine intentionally.